In this video, I'm going to go over my views on art and on being an artist. So this is just my perspective and my personal journey that I want to share with you. I'm sure there's many other perspectives on art and what it means to be an artist. So basically, to me, I see art and being an artist as something very almost spiritual, almost at a religious level. I see it as playing a very deep role in life itself. I don't see it as something trivial, like I'm just trying to be creative. I'm just trying to, draw or paint or make a song or write a few words. I don't see it as that surface level. I see an artist as well as someone who's not just a painter or a writer or whatever medium you want to give. I see an artist as someone who is involved in this deep aspect of showing and seeing the world in interesting and new ways and bringing out beauty out of that. And so for me, it's a very religious process in that sense. When I say religious, I mean it in that psychological sense of it's significantly deep. It's something that really involves life itself, right? And some people are artists through how they live, and who they are as a person. It's not just about different mediums, artistic mediums, such as writing, painting, etc. But it's how they live, how they think, how they are situated in the world. I believe that, so I have a very broad view of art and on what it means to be an artist. So that's my perspective, right? I'm sure there's many other perspectives out there, but that is my fundamental kind of view. Now, as we explore this, we'll see kind of why I view it like that. So I want to introduce this psychological concept from Jungian psychology, which is called the Psychoid Archetype. And without getting too deep into it, I've made another video on the Psychoid Archetype. You can check my channel if you want to look deeper into it. But my view in looking at this archetype is that it really opens up an understanding of the function and purpose of an artist and the meaning of art, right? And so the Psychoid Archetype for Jung is this is the nature of mind, or the nature of these archetypes that Jung talked about in this level of analysis where both mind and matter connect, right? Where they're unified. It's like a spectrum. At some level, we have consciousness, and if we delve all the way down into our bodies, into material reality, we get down to carbon, right? And so carbon is simply carbon. It is material. It is materiality. And then our mind, our consciousness is made of mind somehow, right? And this Psychoid Archetype operates on that realm where these two levels of reality connect or are unified in some way. And so Jung goes on to talk about this experience of the Psychoid Archetype is this idea of oneness between mind and matter, or oneness between the psyche and the world, if you will. And so thinking on this idea, which I will share later on, some experiences I've had, I thought to myself, well, what does this mean, right? Because I've had that experience of oneness with me and the world, and I thought, wow, that is so true, right? We are nature, and the world is nature. And so if we're both nature, we are essentially a part of the same thing, which is nature, right? And so consciousness in some way is nature experiencing and reflecting back on itself. So if we stand in a beautiful place, let's say we go to a really nice riverbank with these beautiful trees and the water is flowing, and I look at it and I think, wow, this is a beautiful place. What I am also doing in that act of appreciating that beauty of that place, I am consciousness, my consciousness is natural, is nature, and I am experiencing and reflecting on nature, right? And so in this respect, from that insight I kind of had a broader insight. The implications of that insight, if you will, led me to an understanding of what art is and what an artist is, right? So keeping that insight in mind, right? And moving on to these other ways, right? So I view art as I view an artist as someone who reveals beauty to themselves and others, right? So they draw out the beauty in things and in life. They help people experience beauty. That's the role of an artist, right? And beauty is not just visual. Beauty is the significance of a thing or an aspect of the meaning of something, right? So beauty is an aspect of the meaning of something. Beauty to me is not just visual, but beauty is an experience, right? So beauty is experienced also if you listen to music and you really enjoy it and you're appreciating that music at the time. That to me is also beauty. Reading these words that are crafted really well, and it gives you that feeling, wow, this language feels so good. That to me is beauty. So beauty comes in many forms, but ultimately it is the significance of something, right? It is value. It has value in it. And so if an artist's role is to draw out or present beauty to someone, how do they do this, right? And we might look in a practical sense. Like I said before, they might do it practically with their skill of using, writing, of visually showing it through painting, of doing it through sound, through how they play an instrument. They're the practical things of how they may do this. But for me, there's this much more fundamental aspect, psychological aspect to it. And for me, how artists reveal beauty to people is two ways. First, what they do is they shift people's perspective. They shift perspectives, or another way to say it is they provide a frame for someone to look through. They provide a doorway to invite someone to engage with the world in a certain way, a particular way, right? And they help people see things in new ways, right? And secondly, the second aspect to it is they elevate other people's appreciation of a thing through pointing out its significance or value, right? And so it's this high level of appreciation that enables people to access the value of the beauty that is being presented, right? And so we'll explore this a little bit more, but how do these two things, right? How do these two insights, shifting people's perspective, number one, and elevating people's appreciation, number two, how do they link with this idea I said before of mind and matter being one, or the idea that consciousness is nature experiencing itself, right? That's what I want to link these ideas together, right? And so for the artist, if consciousness is nature experiencing itself, then for an artist, they play the role, almost a religious role, or a spiritual role, if you will, of helping people see the beauty in nature. That is their role. So we are consciousness experiencing itself. We are nature experience. Our consciousness is nature experiencing itself. And the role of an artist is to help people through that process of experiencing nature to see the beauty in nature and to draw that out and to draw out new ways of experiencing that beauty and of how to appreciate the value in nature, right? So what an artist does is helps people see the beauty in nature, which is in themselves and in the world, right? So that makes being an artist very personal, because they also experience the value in themselves, the beauty in themselves, because we are nature, right? We are one. So simultaneously, as you look out and see, wow, that's beautiful, you are valuing nature, but you are also simultaneously valuing yourself, you see? And so, artists are helping nature appreciate itself and see the significance of itself and experience the meaning of itself, because we are a part of nature. We're playing that function, right, through our consciousness. And so let's go back to those ideas. Often this is done through shifting perspectives, right? So shifting perspectives is how an artist allows nature to see another aspect of itself, right? And that's why it feels like a revelation with an awe-inspiring feeling, because nature, which is you, and the world are being revealed to each other as one, right? And so this idea of shifting perspectives is, we can see in the example of Pablo Picasso and the artistic form of cubism. I think this is a really appropriate form of art to highlight as this example, because in cubism, these beautiful designs, we have this idea and a physical representation of the multitude of viewpoints, right? So cubism captures the subject in a greater context by looking at multiple viewpoints of that subject, right? And so in essence, there is this kind of meta idea that comes out of this cubism, which is that's how we appreciate the world, and that's the function of art, in a sense, is to look at things through a multitude of viewpoints, shifting perspectives. And so this cubism provides that for us, but also gives us this meta idea of what art itself is, right? And so during this process, this is a deviation from linear perspective to viewing multiple perspectives, right? And so there is a succession of different viewpoints instead of just one viewpoint. And so you can view something simultaneously from multiple angles. And that's what art does. It's like looking through a diamond, all the different facets of something, and appreciating its beauty in new and different ways, right? And so we play, as artists, we play that role of looking at things through new and different ways. And I want to introduce this idea from the Bible that Jesus talked about. And I'm viewing this psychologically. If you've looked at the other videos on my channel, I talk about Jung's psychological view of Christianity. So I'm not taking this literally, I'm taking this psychologically, and this is making a good point, running off that idea of viewing things in different ways. Ready? So here's the quote by Jesus, open quote. Therefore, every scribe instructed concerning the kingdom of heaven is like a householder who brings out of his treasure things new and old. Close quote. So we can see there with that quote that there is this idea. So I'm going to interpret it in this creative psychological way. And Jung's psychological view of the kingdom of heaven is that it is the domain of God. The kingdom of God is the domain of God, which is the domain of the soul. And so it's interpreted as the domain of the soul where the true value or treasure lies. So you see here, Jesus is saying the kingdom of heaven is like a householder who brings out of his treasure things new and old. So I could see that as an artist as the ultimate value is in yourself, and you are bringing out new ways of appreciating this value, new and old ways of seeing and appreciating value itself, right? And this is where we're touching on that deep psychological view of art and being an artist, because that's what an artist does. They shift the perspective, but there's also this idea of bringing out the significance or highlighting the beauty or value of something, right, in new ways, right? And it's interesting there in that quote, he says, therefore every scribe. So it's a scribe, someone who's writing, right? And so that's an interesting point that I thought I'd put in there. And so this process is not only new ways of seeing the world, it is new ways of valuing the world, right? And so that brings us down to that second point of appreciation. When I had that experience of being out there in nature, that experience of oneness, of wow, I am nature, and what I'm appreciating is nature, and we are one, right? And that gave me that revelation of appreciation is the function of an artist, and is how an artist is able to highlight the beauty and the significance of something, and bring back the value of something into life again through their appreciation of that specific aspect of the world, right? So artists are helping nature appreciate itself and see the significance of itself and experience the meaning of itself. So art itself is nature, which is actually amazing when you think about it, right? So when someone is playing an instrument, they're strumming that string, the way they strum that string, and then the sound waves go off that in a very particular way, right? And when we hear that and go, wow, the way he strums that, oh, he's such a good guitarist, right? That sound is natural. It is nature. So art is nature. And so we are appreciating nature, right? And that feeling of beauty reminds you of the value of nature and enables you to receive the meaning and the significance of the value inherent in nature. And that's why I think this idea of appreciation is so profound, right? It's the same as even if you're writing. We write, if we're a writer, the significance of the meaning of the words comes from the build-up of the language from our society, which has developed, naturally. Everything that exists that we can perceive and deal with is natural, right? So art is nature. So when you're appreciating language, you're appreciating this meaning that is built up somehow throughout evolution. And different, like even our tongues are shaped in a certain way to make sounds and do things, and our brains are shaped in a certain way. And to understand and perceive things in a certain way. So our language is also natural, but it's a little bit more, it's not as self-evident as, say, sound waves, is easier to understand as natural, but everything is natural, and so we are appreciating nature, no matter which art form it is. And so, I think that is actually interesting because if we enter into this process, we are able to recognize the true value of a thing through the act of appreciation, right? So in this sense, being an artist of appreciation is someone who gives or awakens the value of something, or we highlight the beauty of something, or we give birth to new values. So when I was younger, when I was 18 years old, which is many, many years now, I created an album, a rap album, and I've been writing, so that was when I was 18, and I actually had a rapper called Royce da 5'9". You might have heard of him, you might not have, but he actually is known to work and be friends with Eminem. So he is kind of like an underground, the most famous underground type of artist, but he's pretty mainstream now, but was known as underground in the past. And when we collaborated with him, he was pretty underground. I don't say that to boast or anything. I just say that to kind of highlight my experience. I mean, I never met the guy. We just paid him. He actually, before he reunited with Eminem, he got out of jail, and that's when we paid him like $1,000 to feature on our album. So we sent him the beat. He did his verse, and that was basically it, right? So, but I still think it was a significant part of my creative journey in the beginning to work with an artist that you look up to in that artistic way. And so I bring that up to say that there's an example there of writing lyrics, right? I've been writing lyrics since I was about 12 years old. And then I released an album when I was 18 and made some mixtapes in between. But the idea is this. Take any art form, and this example is rap lyrics. The significance, right, the appreciation is when I'm writing, each little word and syllable, I'm appreciating each little word and syllable I write in my lyrics. And so there's this thing called multi-syllable rhyming, right? And so you make not just the word at the end of the sentence rhyme, but you make multiple syllables in that sentence rhyme. And the fact that I appreciate that form, that art form, highlights the beauty of those lyrics. Now, those lyrics mean something to me. They have more value the more I can pull off a complex chain of multi-syllable rhyming that actually makes sense, right, in the context of a song or with a punchline even. Then the act of me appreciating those multiple syllables rhyming together, I'm able to access and appreciate that aspect of nature or the world, right? And that is beauty to me and to listeners who then consume that music. It is those who have that same appreciation, who are dialed into that same level of appreciating that specific aspect of reality. In this case, the multi-syllable rhyming. They then see the beauty and significance and value of those lyrics, you see. And so that's just an example, trying to tie it, these higher level concepts of appreciation and shifting perspective down into actual works of art, right? And so I thought that was just helpful to do that. And so, but then you've got these other ideas. Like I said, there's this idea with that Jesus quote of, when we view it psychologically, as the kingdom of God is the ultimate value in yourself, and you're bringing out new ways of experiencing value, right? And the role of an artist is someone who awakens the value out of something, right? And so we've got someone like the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, and he was so creative, he wanted to create new values, right? And so that's another example I see, someone who wants to create new values and bring forth the significance of new ways of seeing the world. And I think that that is ultimately the task of an artist. And so I view Jesus like an artist, and I view Nietzsche, the philosopher, as an artist. And so my understanding is very broad. But you can see it through this psychological lens. So I think that's very interesting. And so what I want to share here, just at the end here, is shifting perspectives and appreciation and how they kind of work together. So like cubism, when you shift perspectives, right, even Nietzsche, he tried to undermine the idea of truth, right, in his writings. So he can see, so that means you see things now from a different way once we've undermined truth, right? And so shifting perspectives is what gives you the access to then appreciate the significance and value of something. So you first shift the perspective of someone, you show them something in a new way, and then you, with your appreciation, you draw out the value of that is hidden in that new perspective or in that new way of seeing and appreciating the world, you see? So once you shift the perspective, you have access to seeing the world in a new way, but that appreciation is what enables you to highlight the significance of that thing. And then you are able to show people the beauty of that thing so that others are now able to have access and they're able to receive the aesthetic meaning latent in that aspect of the world, right? And so other people now receive the significance of the beauty that you have opened up for them. And often this is done, an artist does this through great skill, a mastery of some type of skill. That's why we often associate this stuff with the act of writing or the act of painting, right? But I wanted to take it back from that and talk about the meaning and significance of art and being an artist. And the end result is, yes, they use skill to convey something, but what are they conveying? They're releasing and highlighting the beauty or significance or value of something. And we are able to then appreciate that aspect of nature as nature. And because we are also nature and we have that upfront experience of beauty, we feel the beauty in that moment of listening to that music or appreciating that beautiful painting, right? Because we're in that experience, we actually are experiencing the meaning of that beauty right there and then. And therefore, then we can see the meaning in our own lives because we are also nature. And we're playing that role of appreciating ourselves through appreciating nature. And that's the deep value I see in art and in being an artist. So what I want to close this off with is just sharing with you an experience I had of going into nature. So I was microdosing some mushies, and I was only taking a little bit. I've never actually taken so much that, I've lost control or something like that. But so there was just enough to get me thinking in a different way. And I was doing it kind of therapeutically. I'm not encouraging anyone else to do anything. This is just my personal experience. So I went out into nature. I'll put some photos up. I went to Somerset Dam, and there was these beautiful landscapes there. And there was this lookout, and I went to the lookout, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you have been out in nature to a lookout over all these different mountains, and the photo can't even capture the feeling and meaning of actually being there and experiencing it. When you're looking out from this particular view, there's trees blocking other parts of the view, and you can just look at this clearing, and when you look through that clearing and you see it, you see the landscape, you think to yourself, wow, this is this is beautiful, right? And you don't just think that. It's not some just cognitive thought. You feel it, and you feel this experience of beauty. It actually doesn't even feel real. That's the feeling. You look at it, it's so beautiful that it doesn't even feel real. And you keep looking at it, you just can't stop looking at it. And you're like, wow, that doesn't even feel real. It's so beautiful. And then the realization hits you. This is real. This is nature. And it's in that experience of experiencing beauty that meaning and value is restored to your soul, because the meaning is at hand. It's right there. You're experiencing it. You can't deny that you were experiencing beauty at that point, right? And because you were experiencing beauty, and you know that nature is beautiful, and then you know you are also nature, now that beauty gives meaning to you, because you feel that this is significant, and you see and experience its value, which means you go away knowing you have value in yourself, because you're also a part of nature, you see? And so to me, this is the aesthetic, artistic way of receiving meaning through beauty. So I would say, if you are depressed or you are struggling right now. Now, when I say that you can, that appreciation is a part of this process of being an artist, appreciation can be exercised in many different ways. So blues is an is a musical genre, which is an example of the appreciation of how sad we are, right? And so we have this feeling and appreciation of sadness and this meaningful wallowing in sadness, which is itself appreciation, right? So it's not just appreciating things in what we would see in a standardized way as positive. It is, it can be sadness is a form of appreciation, right? And so that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm saying if you are stuck and you can't appreciate anything and can't create anything, you can't even create out of your negativity, right? If you can't create at all, even out of your negativity, I would recommend going into nature, just like I did. Go into nature and experience its beauty. Once you experience its beauty, you can gain the value back in yourself, right? Because you see it and you think, wow, that is beautiful. It's undeniable. And then that experience births value back into your soul and your life. Then go home and bring that back with you, and you'll be able to value things again in the world. You'll be able to appreciate things again and bring value back into the world. And then hopefully you'll be able to use your artistic skills to highlight and showcase that value again, right? So if you are into video editing, it might be the way you edited something, the way you conveyed those images, that, wow, that editing, I've seen it all the time. Wow, that editing was so good. It communicated that message so well, right? That acting was so good. The way he moved his face and his lips and his tone of voice, right? All these natural things are beautiful, and the meaning comes through appreciating them, right? And, people can't appreciate things and receive the value of something without that understanding and appreciation of it. That's why a lot of people can't appreciate different works of art, because they don't have that insight into that aspect of reality. But as an artist, you do. And through your creativity, through your skill, you reveal something new to people. It might not be new to you, but it's new to them. They haven't seen it. It's your revelations. And it's not always conceptual. It's an experience. It's a sound. It's a movement. It's color. It's light. it's words, you see, it's language, it's all these different ways of expression. But it's not just the expression itself, it's the significance and meaning of an aspect of the world that you're drawing out and providing that value for others. And if others can be attuned to that way of seeing the world through your art, then you've played your role and you've allowed them to receive the meaning from your art. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I've got lots of other interesting videos on my channel. Let me know if you like this one and if you want me to keep talking about creativity and the creative process, because it's something close to my heart. As I said, someone who in the past I've created rap albums. I also enjoy writing just different things, both fiction, nonfiction, and I am a creative thinker. I've studied creative advertising, and I like the idea of thinking of lots of different ideas, and so I understand that process. At the same time, I've struggled with functioning and living the everyday path, because I find that often boring and sucks the life and vitality out of the beauty of the world. So for me, I'm very much about finding my zone, finding what I resonate with, exploring that, and trying to find these revelations and ideas and bring them to you. And that's what I'm here doing, and I'm loving it and enjoying it. So let me know how you're going. Let me know about your journey as a creative person and your understanding of art. And I think it'll be interesting for all of us to see those different perspectives in the comments. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.